Appreciate everybody being here today. We've been through our first week of training camp. I think it's been a training camp that has challenged us, both mentally and physically, and I'm excited about that. I think that's good for our football team. I like how the team has responded to it so far. I've liked the physicality of practice, and I like the attention to detail that the players are straining to give us at this point. Questions?
Monday scrimmage, how game-like will it be, and just how much will it help shape the depth chart at some of the key open positions?
It'll be as game-like as it can be for what we have in. We don't have every situation in just yet, but we do have quite a few. So we'll put the ball in the coming out, backed up area. We'll put the ball in the red zone. We'll create a goal line situation if it doesn't come up, and then they'll also have opportunities to move the ball within a drive. We don't have 2 minutes in yet, so we won't do that. So it won't be completely game-like, but it'll be as game-like as we can make it.
And then the depth chart, safety and quarterback and linebacker, some of the positions that are still open.
It'll have influence. I've always felt that when you go in the stadium, you bring the Big Ten officials in, you make it a game-like atmosphere. Something we didn't do in the spring that we will do tomorrow. We will have the coaching staff separated. We'll have them in the box. So we're going to try to create as much of a game-like atmosphere as we can.
Coach, you have the luxury of having some outstanding running backs, but really this year in particular, having a new quarterback, the importance of this year's running game to have the new quarterback help with some of the things that you want to do.
Our identity on offense begins with running the football. The fact that we're going to have a new quarterback under center, it doesn't really change it from that perspective. What I would agree with you on is, and I think every quarterback would tell you this, a quarterback's best friend is a good running game. It keeps you on schedule. It keeps the defense away from their exotic third down blitz packages. So again, our identity is going to be to run the football. The more effectively we can do that, I think it certainly helps the quarterback.
And what are your expectations for Touré in his second year, and how high is his ceiling overall?
My expectations for him are no different than anybody else. I expect him to come to work every day, work to improve, and on game day, play within the system. Because if he plays within the system on defense, the opportunity to make plays is going to present himself. Now, he is going into his second year, so because of that, he should certainly have a better grasp of what we're doing with the entire defensive package, and I think he will. I think when we get a couple more weeks in training camp here, we're going to feel pretty good about what come up with.
So, follow-up: is he closer to becoming an every down guy, or do you still see him as a
certainly closer than he was at the end of last year? I still don't think he's where he's ultimately going to be. He's got a lot of improving left to do.
Kyle, to follow up on Liddy's question, could you just, most of these kids, Darius, Leonte, had a lot of success in high school. It's all kind of come kind of quickly for Kamoko, obviously having not played that much football. How is he doing with his profile, and do you have to do anything to keep him level-headed? What do you do with a kid who hasn't had that much success before last year?
I think he's handled very well. One of the things that I think works to our advantage is because of the media market that we're in. We're in the #1 media market in the world. So I think it works to our advantage. They see you guys around every day. They're answering questions all the time. There's certainly no lack of TV coverage for our program. I think that becomes part of what it is to be a Division I athlete. I don't necessarily think it's good or bad. It's just part of the job, and it's something that you have to manage. And I think so far he's done a pretty good job.
Defensively, in the run game, you guys struggled last year, finishing I think second to last in the Big Ten. What strides have you guys taken in the off season, whether it be in practice, that you guys have improved it, and what are you hoping to see tomorrow on the field in the scrimmage?
Yeah, every year is different. Every year we're going to have different people out there. We're going to have 3 new offensive linemen who've worked extremely hard, and the other teams are going to have new people trying to defend us. So I don't know it's necessarily something that you have to do different. We got to get the pieces of our puzzle this year to work together. Those 3 new offensive linemen, working with the 2 that we have back with a lot of experience, working with a new group of tight ends because Tyler Croft's not here, working with a new fullback because Michael Burton's not here. All of those things are what we work on during training camp. And the more we work together, the better that unit will function, and the more successful we'll be running the football. I think what you saw at the end of last year, when you get to the Maryland game, you get to the North Carolina game, the bowl game, I think you see a rushing offense that improved as the year went on. You know, in the last game of the year, we ran for over 300 yards. So I was excited about where we were. We've got some new pieces, but I think we've got some stuff to build on.
Kyle, you mentioned a couple times how you guys are being aggressive with the offensive install in training camp. How much of that is, obviously that's coming from you, but how much of that is just, that's something Ben wants to do to drive his philosophy home?
It's something that I didn't ask for input before I said it to the coordinators. It was something that was important to me. I felt that this team needed that. I thought we had more continuity in our staff than we've had in any of the other years I've been the head coach. So for me, the continuity of the staff, the players returning, it was important for me to challenge those players when we came to training camp. We spent a lot of time with them in the spring, a lot of time with them in the summer, and I felt they should be ready to go when we got here. I like the way that they've responded to it. The coordinators certainly were in agreement with it, and ultimately it'll be good for our program.
As kind of a follow-up to that, obviously the offense had a lot of success last year, and Ben worked under Ralph. How much tinkering do you want to do? How much do you keep what Ralph installed, what Ralph had? How much do you want him to change the playbook, that kind of thing? Or do you stick with what worked?
It's always a little different because the play caller is different. I'm sure there'll be things you can ask Ben, he'll be up here in a little bit. I'm sure there'll be things, I know there'll be things that Ben's going to do differently. But there's also a lot of really good stuff that we did last year that's going to become part of what we are as an offense. But the difference year to year in offensive football, to me, is always about your playmakers and about the play caller. And we're certainly going to have different playmakers this year. Without Gary Noble being here, Michael Burton, Tyler Croft, those are three significant playmakers that won't be on our offense this year. New playmakers will emerge, and you're going to have a new play caller, so it's certainly going to look different.
Kyle, Jawan Harris, obviously a unique situation with baseball and football. Have you mapped out a plan with him? You know, I guess he wouldn't be available to be in the spring. And just what's his feeling for, you know, as a football player?
I think his ceiling's high. You know, Jay's a very talented player, runs very well, excellent in and out of his breaks, excellent hands. Joe Laterio, our baseball coach, myself, and Jay and his mom sat down together, and we did. We mapped it out. We mapped out an entire year of what it was going to be like to be a two-sport athlete in college, because it's not something that's going to be easy, but it's something that he is committed to, and something we committed to him. You know, when he decided to come to Rutgers. So we're going to work with him and work with the baseball program to make sure that everybody's needs are accounted for.
Going back to Ralph,